I could just barge into the laboratory.
Sure, come on in. Like I won't be there. But you
will be sedated.
No.
It is our time, and it is my kingdom.
I was picturing your experience of being in this movie, doing the amazing work you were doing on set with each other, and then the moment you get to see yourself as an ape on screen. Drop me into that feeling.
I went to do ADR, and Wes said, just cue up his scene, let him watch it before we do ADR. And I was like, okay. And I'm standing there, it was on a giant screen. And then all of a sudden Proximus came on, and my body went into almost like a shock. Tears started to stream, and it was like, it felt like everything that I've been working towards as an actor. I really, really love Gary Oldman and the way that he transforms, and I always try my very best to transform with accents and physicality and whatnot. This character was such an incredible pleasure, such a treasure for me to see once they did all their work to it, because I saw that the work that we all did was really, truly honored, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was treated with so much care, and it's all on the screen. And to see how incredibly detailed it was, the entire world, every single, you could pause it frame by frame throughout the entire film and check out the details of all the vistas. It was just glorious. So yeah, for me, it was pretty overwhelming.
What a wonderful day!
I am actually still trying to wrap my mind around it because, while we were building this and while we were shooting everything before post-production, the enormous, task of the post-production of this film, while we were shooting it, while we were creating it and making it, I'm just inside imagining, just keeping my imagination fertile and alive, so that the information that I feel inside is what is coming outside, and then that's all you get, right? And so then you will go walk away for a year, and while they're working and putting it together, and then you start to see bits and pieces of it in ADR. I think it was New Zealand when we were there. That is the first time I saw my character fully rendered, and I was just gobsmacked. I'm just like, this is magic. What did you guys do? How did you do this? And I'm still just like a little kid. I'm just completely fascinated.
Impossible as that may seem.
Any tips or thoughts for actors or directors who haven't worked in that motion capture format before?
It's a very technical process on set, but the key at the end of the day is just acting, just doing your job well, immersing yourself in that character and the world and the story and devoting yourself to it and doing what you would do in any other movie. And that's be honest and truthful in the moment. Because the truth is, they're surrounded by all this technological kind of, stuff that's going to capture every little nuance of that, and trust the fact that process will carry over. I don't think anyone can just do this. There's a very few companies in the world that can pull this off, and Weta is the peak of that. But yeah, that was a journey for all of us to kind of take that leap of faith that they had proved that this could be possible with the Apes movies before, the Avatar movies before that. It's a fantastic process, but it's not for every actor. But for the ones who embrace it, I think it's a freeing thing for them,
Freya, I've heard you say that in doing the stunts, in doing the movement work, that helps inform character for you. Mm-hmm. What's something you discovered about May through movement, through action?
I think something that really helped was doing everything in the human hunt, because I was just actually was feeling quite physically drained, and even crawling through the reeds, my knees were getting all bashed up, and that week I was just, honestly, I went back to the hotel and I was looking at my body and it was just bruised all over. I mean, number one, I love doing all that stuff as well, but I do feel like it's all the character as well, and I get very stressed when I see anyone standing in for me, and because it feels like my character is cheating on me, I'm like, what on earth are they doing down there in my costume? I had the best stunt double though, and she was super supportive and was very much wanting me to do that stuff, so it was lovely to have her. But yeah, no, it's really important for me just to kind of I feel slight pain, you know? I know that sounds really like weird and
No.
freaky, but you know what I mean.
It is physical, yeah. Owen, for you too, I mean, that physicality, that silent work is such a big part of the film. Talk to me about finding Noah through that.
The thing is with that, the ape physicality, you know, so much of it is a reflection of what's going on internally. And that was something that was really fun to actually get to play with. That, you know, people have been like, oh, you know, is it what's it like working in performance capture, and is it hard? And it's like, no, it's freeing, because you have this other form of expression that, you know, yes, you have physical character when you're playing humans, and you know, you get to change how you move, but to this degree, you don't usually get to go there. And so like Noah, the way he moves was kind of a marker system for me for where he is emotionally in the story. So like at the beginning of the film, he's quite, you know, there's a lot of tension here. That was one thing that I got from Andy, was like thinking about where he holds his tension. And that evolves over the film. And yeah, so it's all interlinked.
What was it about Owen when he came to audition that you said, he's someone who can carry this on his back?
You know, Caesar was big shoes to fill, that character, and what Andy Serkis did, right? This character now was an innocent character. It was a young character. It was going to be more of a coming-of-age adventure this time. So he was kind of a blank slate, and it's a character that sets out into a world he doesn't know and has to rediscover a world. The human world that was left behind, who Caesar was, all these different things. And so Owen has this great, kind innocence. Get away, bug. And he loves bugs. So that was a good thing. But yeah, he just embodied the character of Noah. And he really deserves a lot of credit, I think, for taking the responsibility on his shoulders of following up what is probably one of the greatest performances in recent memory with Andy Serkis, you know. And I know he talked a lot with Andy to kind of find that confidence, but I thought he did it well.
I know you did get to talk to Andy Serkis about that work, and you said one thing was about tension. Was there anything else he pointed you towards to look out for?
Yeah, the voice, you know, using breath to not only obviously be the kind of source for the performance, but also help it feel apey, help give life to the CGI character. You know, hearing that kind of breathing and in the voice, it just makes it more believable, you know. But it's also, I remember us talking about this, of like getting into scenes, you know, how you get to emotional states and how important breathing is just anytime as an actor, you know.
Yeah, well, so much of what can happen is built off what your body, a bodily reaction.
Yeah.
And that's what sometimes I guess is exhausting about it, is getting your body, like convincing your kind of body of something. Which is why I did so much just running on the spot for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so stuff like that, you know, and then working with us specifically with the technology and having that assist us as opposed to be something that we felt was hindering us.
That's just such a testament to where the technology is for us now, and how we can access these impossible worlds and just making it 100% believable, down to the hair, the water on the hair, like
Greatest illusion.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Like, can you imagine, like, you know, back in the day, like in '68, like, it must be so wild for them, because that movie is so incredible and so impactful, and I still love that movie to this day. But I remember Rise. When I saw Rise, I spent that whole movie going, so they trained a chimpanzee?
Right.
I couldn't figure it out. And then I found out it was Andy Serkis. I was
like, what? Where?
What do you mean? Like when he's in the bedroom and he starts swinging on that chandelier and jumping through the rafters. I was like, what?
Yeah, I felt like I had been living in a cave.
What did I miss?
I had heard as well that your director, Wes, is not hesitant to jump into a movement or a sound himself. Any memories spring to mind that just make you smile to think of him?
Yeah. I mean, every day, but I just remember at the start, we were in a meeting room, right? So, you know, the usual, long table and everyone's around there and we're discussing something like the color of my hair. And before you know it, I'm just like... And I'm just staring at Wes, who's crawling under the table as a feral human. Like he's fully Nova. And I'm sort of watching him in absolute awe, but I'm like, what? I'm not entirely sure what this has got to do with the colour of my hair, but I am loving this performance. And that was every day. That was just the start of every day for us, was just this immense amount of enthusiasm and energy. And, you know, it was infectious. And that's how someone should, you know, lead. Yeah. We'd all be watching him at the start of the day as he'd be telling us what we're going to be doing. And it made us all be like, you know, hell yeah.
That's what you want in a director. If somebody came to set not loving the movie, which I think most people did, but, you know, if you didn't, you did after 5 minutes of talking to Wes.
Just when I get excited about something and I see something in my mind, I just have to get them seeing it too. And however I do that, whether it's me jumping around, waving my arms, looking like an idiot, you know, or using sound effects, you know, that kind of stuff. That's what a director's job really is, to get all the different craftsmen around us, actors, crew members, DP, you know, sound, VFX, get them all seeing the same movie, you know, rowing in the same direction, you know, because once you do that, they get to employ all their creativity and all their just talent towards one common idea, and then, you know, it's off to the races, you know.
Yeah, there must be a lot that you have to get them to see, right? Because it's not all there
Indeed,
in front
for
of
sure,
them.
yeah.
Right.
But, you know, we're all in this for a reason. We all have an overactive imagination. So that's not the hard part. You know, the trick is just, you know, dealing with the technical process of this thing and keeping it feeling real and keeping the energy up. And fortunately, the cast in particular are all just great people. So we have a good time making it, you know. It's a slog getting through these movies, but all the devotion and love is there, you know. That's what fuels us.
I also know a lot of your actors spent a lot of time building their own backstories and even doing improvs with each other.
They spent a long time doing that, yeah.
When do they let you in on that process? Do they? I mean,
sometimes, you know, if I feel like I need it, you know, like, why are you holding your arm like that? That kind of stuff. And there's a whole story behind that. Like Anaya, he has this posture. It's because when he was a baby, he had a toy and he always carried it. And so now as he's grown up, he still has this kind of thing in his arm. And it's just these little things that actors bring to it that I could never come up with, writers could never come up with, you know, and that's something that gives them ownership. It makes them kind of, you know, fall in love with their character. They become the author of these characters. And as long as it's kind of in the right, you know, space, you know, and it's going in the right direction, it's the best kind of stuff an actor can bring to something, you know.
Yeah, that's incredibly inspiring to hear, just a director who says yes to that.
Yeah, for sure. It's important, you know. I rely on all these people around me to do their job to their best. You know, I can't do all these things. So, and I'm just there to kind of steer and corral and point in the right direction, you know.
Apes hunt humans. That is wrong.
You two, both of your characters, are sort of the keepers of the history. You both carry the lore in different ways. Did you guys ever get to talk as actors about your respective views?
We've been doing it all day today, like even still. Like while we were in ape school.
New Zealand, we had it out.
New Zealand, we
really had it out.
Yeah, it was a domestic. It was a big up. Yeah. It was a big blow up. But, you know, we engage in and interact with each other with our respective philosophies. And it actually helps me sharpen my viewpoint because I gotta reach them. You know what I mean? I gotta like explain, you know, and vice versa. I mean, I don't know, I'll speak for you, but like, it's just very
I felt
helpful.
like I was getting to you too.
Right. And I wanted you to feel like that because like that kept you open. You know, I didn't want you to close down. I wanted you to just say,
well,
you know.
I'll send you a postcard when you're in the laboratory and they're cutting you to pieces to experiment on you. And we'll see. Tell me how you feel about the love and joy for humans.
Listen, you can always come and see me, and my office hours are open to you. We can just talk it out. You don't have to like.
I could just barge into the laboratory.
Sure, come on in. Like I won't be there. But you
will be sedated.
No, see, that's the nightmare that you're living in, dear boy. I'm just saying, like that.
You will become very familiar with scalpels and experimental toxins.
It's okay. Shh.
Well, let's move beyond that.
Okay, we can move forward.
Enjoy this wonderful day.
Right. There it is again with the wonderful day. It's okay. It's okay.